Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting topics for coin collectors and treasure hunters, the most valuable wheat pennies ever made. First up, the 1945 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark is a fascinating piece of American coinage, minted at the Denver Mint during the final year of World War II. Sotonotu. This coin belongs to the classic Lincoln Wheat Cent series designed by Victor David Brenner, which ran from 1909 to 1958. The 1945D issue is especially meaningful because it represents the last full wartime year and a time when the world was on the verge of peace. Your coin, described as being in dirty condition with some scratches, tells its own story, one of age, circulation, and connection to history. Though worn and discolored from decades of use, it remains a small yet valuable artifact of the mid-20th century. On the obverse side, the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln stands proudly in the center. Even through the dirt and scratches, Lincoln's profile remains visible, showing the dignified expression that Brenner designed to symbolize honesty and perseverance. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," curve gracefully along the top edge. Liberty sits to the left of Lincoln's portrait, and the date 1945 appears to the right. Beneath the date is the small D mint mark, denoting that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. In dirty or well-circulated condition, much of the coin's original red-brown luster has faded, replaced by darker tones of brown or even grayish areas from oxidation and grime. However, the details are still readable, and the coin retains the charm of genuine use. Light surface scratches, mentioned in the description, are common signs of its long life in circulation and do not significantly impact its historical interest. The reverse of the coin continues with Brenner's elegant wheat ears design, which gives the series its well-known name. Two stylized stalks of wheat curve inward from the edges, surrounding the bold inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above this, the Latin motto E pluribus unum means out of many, one. On a 1945D in dirty condition, the details of the wheat lines may be faint or partially obscured by dirt and wear, but the lettering typically remains clear. The coin's surface often displays uneven color, perhaps dark brown in the recesses and lighter on the worn high points. The scratches and accumulated debris from circulation create a unique patina that adds authenticity to the piece. For many collectors, cleaning such a coin is discouraged, as the natural aged look is part of its historical identity. In terms of production, the 1945D wheat penny had a substantial mintage of over 266 million coins, making it one of the more common dates of the series. Like all cents from this period, it was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, restoring the traditional bronze alloy that had been briefly replaced in 1943 with zinc-coated steel. By 1945, the war effort still required large amounts of copper for ammunition and equipment, but the U.S. Mint managed to maintain standard coin production as the war neared its end. These pennies circulated widely across the country, passing through countless hands during a time of great national unity and relief as the conflict drew to a close. From a historical perspective, the 1945D penny is more than just a coin. It is a relic from the year when World War II ended, a symbol of America's strength and endurance. As peace was restored and soldiers returned home, coins like this one were used in daily life, exchanged in shops, diners, and train stations during one of the most hopeful periods in modern history. Each surviving example carries silent stories of that era, connecting modern collectors to a time of transformation and optimism. In grading terms, a dirty condition coin typically falls between good and fine grades, depending on how much detail remains visible. Dirt and scratches can obscure the design, but as long as the main features are identifiable. Lincoln's portrait, the date, the mint mark, and the central text, the coin retains collectible interest. While it may not appeal to high-grade collectors, it remains valuable as part of a historical set, especially when accompanied by other wartime pennies from the early to mid-1940s. In today's coin market, the 1945 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny, in dirty circulated condition with some scratches generally, has a retail value between $0.05 and $0.15. Examples that are only lightly dirty or still show decent detail can fetch closer to $0.20 to $0.30. Coins, in fine to very fine condition, might be worth $0.40 to $0.75, while extremely fine or uncirculated pieces can range from $1 to $5. Brilliant red uncirculated examples certified by professional grading services can sometimes bring prices over $10, especially for those with strong eye appeal and minimal marks. Although the coin's market value is modest, its historical and emotional worth is far greater. Next up, the 1918 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark is an early and historically significant piece from the first decades of the Lincoln Cent series. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin belongs to a generation of U.S. coinage that has now surpassed a full century in age. The 1918 issue reflects a time when the United States was still deeply affected by the aftermath of World War I and the social changes that followed. Your coin, described as being in damaged condition with some scratches, has clearly endured many years of circulation, yet it still carries remarkable historical value as a tangible link to early 20th century America. The 1918 Lincoln Wheat Penny had a total mintage of over 288 million. Coins at the Philadelphia Mint, a large number for its time, reflecting America's expanding economy after the First World War. These pennies were struck in the traditional bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving them a warm reddish-brown color when new. Over a century later, most surviving examples show various shades of brown or dark chocolate color due to oxidation. While many 1918 cents remain available, finding examples in well-preserved condition can be difficult because most have been heavily circulated. Just like your coin, from a historical perspective, the 1918 Lincoln Cent carries deep meaning. It was produced in the year World War I ended, when American soldiers were returning home, and the nation was entering a period of economic adjustment and social change. These pennies were used by everyday Americans for small purchases, from newspapers to streetcar fares, during an era when a single cent held much more purchasing power than it does today. Each surviving 1918 penny is a small but powerful reminder of that important period in American history. In grading terms, a damaged condition coin indicates that it has significant wear, possibly with dents, scratches, corrosion, or other surface impairments that go beyond normal circulation. The damage can result from environmental exposure, mishandling, or being buried or stored improperly. While this reduces the coin's aesthetic and market value, it does not erase its historical or sentimental worth. Collectors often include such pieces in filler sets, collections that aim to represent every date and mint mark, even if the coins are not in perfect condition. In today's market, the 1918 Lincoln Wheat Penny, without a mint mark, in damaged condition with scratches generally, holds a modest value of around $0.5 to $0.15. Coins with heavy damage or corrosion may fall closer to the lower end of that range, while slightly cleaner examples with visible details may reach $0.29 2020 or $0.25. A coin in good or fine condition typically sells for $0.30 to $0.75, while higher-grade examples in very fine or extremely fine condition can be worth $1 to $2. Uncirculated specimens with full red color and sharp detail are far more valuable, often ranging from $25 to $75 or more, depending on grade and eye appeal. Although this particular coin's condition lowers its market price, Its historical and educational value remains significant. As one of the earlier wheat pennies, it represents the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the craftsmanship of early 20th century U.S. coinage. The design itself, simple yet noble, has stood the test of time and continues to be admired for its symbolism of unity and progress. Each scratch and worn surface tells a story of more than 100 years of American history, passing through countless hands since the time of the Great War and the early industrial era. Next up, the 1945 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny, without a mint mark, is a classic mid-20th century U.S. coin that continues to attract collectors for both its historical and nostalgic value. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin is part of the final years of World War II coin. Ju, produced at a time when the world was emerging from one of the most challenging periods in modern history. Your coin, described as being in fine condition with some scratches, carries the wear of many decades of circulation, yet still preserves much of its original charm and historical character. Turning to the reverse, the wheat ears design, used on all Lincoln cents from 1909 through 1958, displays two stylized stalks of wheat curving inward along the left and right sides. These frame the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above the design, the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, remains visible, though slightly faded with wear. In fine condition, much of the wheat detail is still present, though not sharply defined, and the coin's overall color may show natural toning or a deep brown patina. The scratches you mentioned are minor imperfections that typically come from years of handling and circulation, but they don't take away from the coin's authenticity or its collectible appeal. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny had an impressively large mintage. Approximately 515,000 coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint that year. It was the last full year of World War II, and the U.S. Mint continued to use the bronze alloy made up of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc after briefly switching to zinc-coated steel cents in 1943. By 1945, copper supplies had improved, allowing the return to the traditional alloy. These coins were produced in massive quantities to meet wartime economic demand, and as a result, many examples survive today in varying conditions. From a historical standpoint, the 1945 wheat penny represents an era of hope and transition. It was minted in the same year the war ended, when Allied forces celebrated victory in Europe and the Pacific. For Americans, this penny circulated during a time of rebuilding, optimism, and the beginning of post-war prosperity. It passed through the hands of citizens buying newspapers about the end of the war, children purchasing candy after rationing ended, and families saving coins to rebuild their lives. Each 1945 penny is, in a sense, a small piece of that remarkable time in American history. In coin grading terms, a fine condition coin shows moderate to heavy wear, with most major details visible but flat in places. The rims are full, the legends are readable, and Lincoln's image remains clear, though lacking sharpness. Small scratches, marks, or dull surfaces are common for coins of this grade. While not rare, such coins are desirable for new collectors who want authentic examples from the wartime years without spending much money. When it comes to today's market value, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, without a mint mark in fine condition with some scratches, generally sells for around 0.105 to 0.815. On slightly better condition, very fine to extremely fine. The value can range from 0.8 20 to 0.40 coins. With minimal wear, strong detail, and good color can bring $0.50 to $1. Higher grade examples in uncirculated or mint state condition can be worth anywhere from $2 to $10, while top-quality red specimens certified by professional grading services sometimes sell for $25 to $40 or more. Though not among the rarest dates, the 1945 wheat penny is prized for its historical connection and enduring design. Its sentimental and educational worth far exceeds its face value, as it stands as a living artifact from the close of World War II and the beginning of modern America. Each worn surface and scratch on your coin tells a unique story of survival through decades of circulation, making it more than just a piece of copper. It's a symbol of resilience, history, and the American spirit. Next up, the 1946 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny, without a mint mark, is a fascinating post-World War II coin that carries both historical value and collector interest. This particular coin, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, came from a time when America was recovering from years of war and entering a new era of growth and optimism. Your coin, described as having a color shade with some damage and scratches, represents a genuine piece of mid-20th century American history. A coin that has circulated through many hands, each leaving behind a trace of its journey. The reverse side of the coin features the classic wheat ears design, which was used on Lincoln cents from 1909 to 1958. Two wheat stalks curve gracefully along both sides, framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the coin, the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one still appears, though it may be faint due to wear. On damaged coins, the details of the wheat stalks are often barely visible, and the edges of the coin might show flattening or corrosion. Despite this, the design remains iconic, a reminder of America's agricultural roots and enduring values. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny marked the first year that the U.S. Mint returned fully to the pre-war bronze composition after using recycled ammunition shell casings for 1944 and 1945 issues. The 1946 penny was struck from an alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gave it a bright red color when new. However, over decades, most of these coins have developed brown or dark tones, particularly those exposed to moisture, air, or pocket wear. With over 991,655,000 coins minted at the Philadelphia facility, this issue is quite common in circulated condition, making it accessible for both beginner and experienced collectors. From a historical standpoint, the 1946 wheat penny tells the story of a country transitioning from wartime production to peace. Factories that once made weapons were shifting back to civilian goods, and Americans were adjusting to a new post-war lifestyle. A coin like this would have circulated through grocery stores, candy shops, and gas stations during the booming late 1940s, when life was becoming more stable and hopeful after years of uncertainty. Each mark and scratch on your penny can be seen as a trace of that era's everyday life, a quiet witness to millions of ordinary transactions that shaped post-war America. In coin grading terms, a damaged condition means that the coin has significant wear, discoloration, or surface marks that reduce its collectible value. The details are often faint, and the metal may be scratched, dented, or discolored. However, even heavily circulated or damaged wheat pennies hold sentimental and educational value, especially for collectors who enjoy coins for their history rather than rarity. As of today's market, the 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny, without a mint mark in damaged condition with scratches, is generally worth around $0.28 to $0.5, slightly above face value. This small premium reflects the coin's age and collectible appeal, even in lower grades. In fine condition, examples may be worth $0.10 to $0.15, while very fine or extra fine coins can range from $0.10 to $0.40. Uncirculated specimens with full red color can sell for $2 to $5, and high-grade red examples certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC can fetch $10 to $25 depending on their shine and preservation. While your particular coin's monetary value may be modest, its true worth lies in its history and symbolism. The 1946 Wheat Penny represents the end of a global conflict and the beginning of a new chapter in American life. Every worn surface, every small scratch, and every shade of brown on your coin tells part of that larger story. A story of resilience, recovery, and everyday hope. Next up, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with the D Mint mark is one of the most recognized coins among collectors and history enthusiasts alike. Struck at the Denver Mint during the final years of World War II, this coin carries both numismatic and historical significance. Your coin, described as being in extra fine condition with some scratches, represents a beautiful example of mid-20th century American coinage, blending craftsmanship, history, and timeless design. The reverse of the coin features the classic wheat ears design, used on Lincoln cents from 1909 until 1958. Two stylized stalks of wheat curve upward on each side, framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above the design appears the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. In extra fine condition, the details of the wheat ears remain crisp and well-defined, with only light wear visible on the high points. The fields, the flat areas of the coin, may show small scratches or contact marks, but the coin retains much of its original luster and beauty. Its warm reddish-brown or light copper tone gives it a classic aged look that many collectors find highly attractive. Historically, the 1944 D Wheat Penny holds a special place in U.S. numismatics. It was minted shortly after the U.S. Mint discontinued the 1943 steel cents that were produced during the height of the war to conserve copper for military needs. By 1944, copper from recycled shell casings and ammunition was used to produce pennies once again. This gave the coins of that year a slightly different alloy composition, 95% copper and 5% zinc, omitting the tin found in earlier issues. The Denver Mint struck an impressive total of 430,578,000 pennies that year, making the 1944 D one of the more common wartime issues. However, finding examples in extra fine or better condition with natural color and minimal damage is still quite desirable among collectors. From a historical standpoint, the 1944 D Wheat Penny reflects a nation that was nearing the end of World War II. Americans were optimistic about victory and peace, and coins like yours circulated in a time of great hope and unity. They were used in daily transactions by people buying newspapers announcing major wartime events, or by children purchasing candy as wartime rationing eased. Every coin from that period serves as a small metallic witness to an extraordinary time in American history. In grading terms, a coin in extra fine condition, XF or EF, shows light wear on the highest points, but retains most of its design detail. The coin still exhibits a bit of luster in protected areas, and the devices, such as Lincoln's portrait and the wheat stalks, are clear and bold. Your mention of some scratches is quite normal for circulated coins and doesn't significantly affect its value unless they are deep or distracting. In today's coin market, the 1944 D Lincoln Wheat Penny in extra fine condition typically carries a value between $0.25 and $0.50, depending on eye appeal and color. Coins with more red or red-brown tones, or those that have been well preserved without corrosion, can reach values up to $0.75 or $1. In uncirculated or mint state condition, 1944 D cents can range from $2 to $10, while high-grade red examples graded MS-65 or higher by PCGS or NGC may sell for $20 to $40 or more. While your coin's monetary value is modest, its historical and collectible significance is far greater. The 1944 D Wheat Penny represents the spirit of a nation at a turning point, when the world was emerging from war and looking toward peace and prosperity. Every small scratch or mark on your coin adds to its story, showing that it played an active role in everyday American life 8 decades ago. In today's market, a 1944 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny, with the D mint mark in extra fine condition and some scratches, is generally valued between 25 and 50 cents. Though not rare in circulation, it remains a meaningful and desirable collectible, admired for its wartime history, enduring design, and connection to one of the most significant eras in American history. Each time you hold it, you're holding a small piece of that history. A coin that has traveled through generations yet still shines with the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the story of the American people.